Hi everyone, thank you for watching. So something that I'm very passionate about is the fact that the Bible is just as relevant today as it was when it was first written. And I was trying to think of ways to communicate that or share that with you guys. So I thought of this idea, and what I want to do is I want to make a bunch of 5-minute videos, and in each one pick one verse and expound upon it and talk about it a little bit, talk about how it's relevant for our lives in general, talk about how it's, I believe it's relevant for my life and my experience with it. And the purpose of this is basically to show you guys how I myself go through the Bible and how I apply it to my life, because I think it is a skill that you kind of have to learn or experience. And I know some pastors are really good at it, and they are great at making the Bible relevant for our lives and kind of showing you how it applies to us today. But it's great to be able to do that on your own too, and be able to have experience with being able to do that when you're in your own room alone, reading your Bible, and be able to read it and really think about it and see how it's relevant for your life. So I'm going to start off, and I picked the verse Psalm 37:4, and that verse says, "Delight in the Lord, and He will give you the desires of your heart." So I love that verse because I think it gives us some insight into God's will for our future, how He's made us, and kind of allows us to figure out ways to learn what our passions and desires are, because each one of us is very different, have different experiences and different things we enjoy. So we're all made unique in that way. So I just want to talk about this verse a little bit. So to start off, a lot of times when we read this verse, we can skip the first part, which says, "Delight in the Lord," and we just focus on the part that says, "And He will give you the desires of our heart." But the first part is probably the most important part, so I want to talk about what it means to delight in the Lord. Basically, what that means is, I'm sure there's lots of people that can give you great interpretations of that, but from my perspective, one way to think about it is when you delight in the Lord, you're enjoying being in communion with the Lord. You're enjoying the Lord's presence. So it's kind of like, in our terms, going to church and enjoying being at church, or praying and loving that you're praying and not wanting to stop, or reading your Bible and just really taking in what you're learning and loving reading it and not wanting to stop. And those are all like practical things you can do, but really what it means is wanting to be in God's presence and spend time with God. And that's what it means to delight in the Lord. And it takes time to get to that place. I'm certainly not there now. I mean, no one's perfect, but it's great. I know there's been times in my life where I just want to read the Bible. I want to pray. I want to do those things. And my goal is always to be in that place with God where I'm enjoying being in His presence, enjoying spending time with Him. So basically, another way to look at it is like when you have a friend and we hang out with that friend all the time, you start becoming like that friend, and you guys start doing similar things together, and you start wanting to, shop at the same places or eat the same food on those kind of levels. So it's similar with God, where when we start building a relationship with God, well, because God's perfect and not changing, He's not going to change, but one of us in a relationship is going to change, and it's going to be us, because we're sinful beings that get refined as we grow closer to God and read our Bible and learn more about what His expectations and reasons for our life are. So as we do that, we become more like God. And what that means is that our passions and our desires and things we're running after start to shift a little bit. They're not all going to change drastically. You may love fashion before you're Christian and still love fashion once you're Christian, speaking about myself. But there's things that are going to remain consistent, but there's things that aren't going to, and they're going to change. And I know for me, I used to just want to have a lot of money. I want to live in a big house, and I know still sometimes those desires can get the best of me, but I would run after those things. And once I grew closer to God and started experiencing Him in different ways, those desires started to change. And it's not that those things are bad at all. Is that what you're running after? Is that what your main goal is? Is that what your main goal is? Or do you have, or has now God kind of shifted your desires and your goals and your dreams, and those things may still come, but that's not the ultimate goal for you. So as we grow closer to God and as we delight in the Lord, those things change. But for example, like for me, I love the Lord. I know that's something I want to make sure is always a part of my life, make sure I'm always pursuing God. But I also love fashion and style and design and everything like that. So I've noticed how as I've grown closer to God and as I've been praying and all that stuff, that God kind of has shown me ways to combine the two of them and to, He's revealed to me ways to use my passions and desires for Him. And those things have brought me so much joy. Nothing makes me happier than doing things for God, but also when God cares about us, and He's built us in a certain way and He's given us those certain experiences, and He wants us to use those to go closer to Him. He wants us to use those to share His word with everyone else. So I want to challenge you guys that read that verse, read it in your own time, pray about it, pray what God's revealing to you through that verse as well. But just kind of think about, maybe times where you've been close to God, or maybe you're in a good place with God now and you really desire Him and want to pursue Him. And think about, what are your passions, what are your desires, and how has God molded you and shaped you, and you see these patterns over the years, and that's what He's leading you to do, and that's what your desires are for. So it can be with a relationship, if you are, desiring God and in a good place with God, and there's certain people that or a certain person you're attracted to, or a certain person that you're drawn to, maybe that is God revealing something to you, or other things as well too. So I think when you're in that place with God and you're delighting in the Lord, that He will give you those desires, and that, during that time of your life, those desires are something to definitely look at and take seriously. So I hope this has been encouraging, and if you guys have any questions or any additional comments or things that God has revealed to you through this verse as well, I'd love for you to comment and share those as well. So thank you everyone, and God bless.